It is the weekly here on the Blue Room. A day later than usual, obviously, but with Everton playing midweek, everything gets pushed back, doesn't it? But we're all still made up. If you watch on YouTube, you see three smiling faces here. Sarah Halpin joins us, and Mike Diasha in his Dallas Cowboys rig out joining us as well. How are you guys doing? Okay?
Yeah, keeping okay. I think considering everything that's going on, just got to keep smiling. And as we always say, when Everton are playing boss and winning all the time, it certainly helps a lot.
Absolutely. What about you, Mike? Keeping all right?
Do you know what? I'm better now that I've shaved my neck. I feel better for that.
I don't know if you saw this, Sarah, but on the previous post-match pod we did, which Mike was on, his razor ran out midway through shave, so he came on with basically half a beard.
Yeah, I looked Amish.
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. But a very clean-shaven Mike Diasha sits before us tonight.
Absolutely, he's got his best gear on, and he's had a shave before coming on the show. Like to see.
Bit effort for once.
Great preparation for the weekly. But yeah, obviously we're all in a great mood still. I imagine everyone's still buzzing after Tuesday night. We'll have a chat about that a little bit later on as well. And there's other things going on, of course, at the moment, namely conversations that have come up due to COVID. Obviously, Everton's game against Aston Villa is off on Sunday. We'll obviously have a chat with Sarah as well about the girls. We've had a bit of a nightmare with the schedule for them as well and what's been going on there. And there's this big conversation at the moment about footballers celebrating. We'll finish off on that and what's going on there. But just something a bit light to start us off, actually. On the Subs Weekly tweet yesterday, which I put out, sort of asked, we're going to be answering questions like, how fast is Ben Godfrey? And Matt Cheatham actually replied to that, saying that he's actually achieved the fastest top speed of any Everton player this season. And having messaged him today, I found out that speed is 35.5 kilometres an hour and is the second fastest of any defender in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, but what's that in miles an hour? Like, so I can actually know what it is.
Let me just get through this little bit. I mean, are you one of these people that needs me to convert it? Are you very?
Yeah.
Very okay? Right.
I'm glad that Mike said that because I was too embarrassed to say, but I was thinking, I don't actually know how fast that is.
That could be some fella walking down the road for all I know.
Right, it's 22.
It could be not very fast at all.
22 miles an hour.
22 miles an hour. Ben Godfrey was going on. Well, he's reached this season.
Nice.
Do you know what? It doesn't sound that fast because when you think about it and you're driving round Sefton Park and that road is 20 miles an hour, it feels like you're going not very fast at all. But it is quite fast, isn't it?
If you run around Sefton Park, you can't keep up with the cars.
That is true. Imagine some fella literally just running around Sefton Park at 22 mile an hour, just constant all the way around. I mean,
Ben Godfrey could.
Yeah, probably.
Well, that's the highest top speed of any Everton player this season. Like I said, the second highest top speed for a defender in the league. Tosin Adarabioyo from Fulham has reached the fastest top speed of any defender. So I thought I'd ask you both, just to start off, a little bit of competition, a little bit of lightheartedness. Is Ben Godfrey faster than this animal? Yes
I
or
love
no?
that.
I've got this is sort of following on from the mailbag conversation, obviously, about could you beat a sheep in a 400-metre race, what do you think? And there are all kinds of stipulations. But this is just, could Ben Godfrey reach a faster top speed than this animal? So are we ready to go with some of these?
Let's have it.
Right, if you want to play along in the comments, feel free as well. So these are all down in, right, so I've got these actually in kilometres an hour. So is Ben Godfrey faster than a brown bear?
yes.
I'd say yes also.
So he would just pip a brown bear, because the brown bear, this is according to speedofanimals.com. I'm not making this up.
There's a website for that, by the way.
There's a website for this, yeah. Brown bear's top speed is apparently 35 kilometres an hour.
So they'd be neck and neck.
Yeah, Ben would just get him at the end, though. That extra 0.5 kilometres an hour would see him through.
I feel like he'd beat a bear in a fight as well. The shoulders on the man, honestly. Got some videos of him like boxing on Instagram and stuff as well, and it's like, wow, wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him, that's for sure.
I feel like the intimidation factor would make the bear go slower as well. You'd sort of look at Godfrey and think, nah, don't fancy this.
Yeah, go on, mate.
By the entire situation. We'll do 3 of these. Might come back to it another week. Make it a regular feature. Is Ben Godfrey faster than an African bush elephant?
No.
Okay, so he's not faster than an African bush elephant. You might get there one day, but an African bush elephant can apparently go 40 kilometers an hour.
That's
So
very fast.
he's not too far off though, and he's still young.
Something to aim for, yeah. Never mind being a great footy player for years. Just you need to beat these animals in a drag race, lads. Yeah. And we'll do one more. The last one I had lined up. Where is it? Okay. Is Ben Godfrey faster than a road runner?
Surely not. Is the road runner not the little what the cartoon is as well, where it just?
I don't think they just disappear like in the cartoon, Sarah.
The legs go
Yeah.
off the end of a cliff.
Yeah. They don't. Yeah, running in midair. Yeah.
I've got to say no, because unless it's a trick question.
It's not just an actual question. I mean, if you want to take it up with speedofanimals.com.
They'll be getting a strongly worded email from me after this if I turn out to be wrong. No, I'm going to say Now let's say yes. Let's end on a high.
You think he's faster? You think Ben Godfrey's faster than a road runner?
Yeah, go on. This is like that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire where they were cheating and coughing, wasn't it?
What do you think, Mike?
I didn't know a road runner was a real animal. Didn't know that.
Coyotes are real as well, by the way, mate.
Yeah, that's fine. But not the big purple bird that makes little beeping noises. I'm not having that. Like,
they are a thing. Yeah, they are real.
Are they really?
Yeah.
How big are they?
Not very big.
Aren't they?
They are fast. Yeah.
But they are fast. Oh, okay. But are they faster than Ben Godfrey? That is the question.
I mean, that is literally the name of this game.
It is. I'm gonna say yes. Yes, he is.
And I'm gonna say no, just because I so want it to be true, so that we can say Ben Godfrey is faster than a road runner.
We're gonna have a winner here as well, and that winner is Sarah Halpin. Well done, Sarah. Ben Godfrey is faster than a road runner.
Oh!
Their top speed is 32 kilometers an hour.
Hang on. Did I just say yes or no?
You got it wrong. Sarah got it right.
I think if we go back and check that, I think I got it right and she got it wrong.
No, Sarah said she wanted to say Ben Godfrey's faster than a road runner.
Yeah.
Okay, fair play.
I started out by saying no, and then I thought, no, let's end it on a high.
Oh, it's because you changed your mind about 24 times.
This is, you know me by now, Mike. You know me by now.
Mark Ellison asked us on YouTube, would the brown bear survive a Ben Godfrey slide tackle?
Not a chance.
Be in a bad way after it, I reckon, certainly. But I mean, if people want that to be a regular feature, let us know. If anyone wants to send us a jingle in or something for it, I'm sure we can incorporate that somewhere as well. Yeah, just someone just give that a Sarah saying that.
There you go.
Every time we talk about Ben Godfrey being fast, we'll get Sarah's roadrunner impression in there. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, let's have a chat about the Wolves game then. Sarah, it was just one of those wins where I feel like there's so much to come out of it, and I think there'll be people sort of outside of Evertonians who will look at it and go, well, Wolves have players injured as well and all this kind of thing, but it feels like one of those wins that you need to be involved in all this and live in all this from our point of view to realise just how big it was.
It was an absolutely huge win, away from home as well. And I was on the phone to one of my mates at the time when the team news came out, and they were running through the team, and I was like, where are the strikers? I think you must have misread this team news or something. But yeah, to have the injuries we have and have had throughout this season, and to be grinding out, I still felt like we were going to win, when it was 1-1 and there's sort of just, 15 minutes to go. You feel like we are going to win. It was massive. You had players playing out of position, system changes. You've got Luca Dean playing on the left of midfield, Alex Iwobi. You've got Hammers and Gilfie playing as like false number 9s up top. It was just you know, you look at that team and you think, where are these goals going to come from? How are we going to do it? But that is where, you know, getting one of the best managers in the world has truly made such a massive difference to this football club. You know, he can outsmart the opposition. He can use what's available to him and work it in a way where he's like, you know, we are going to get the wins. And like you said, he keeps it simple, keep us tight at the back, and then find ways to create these goals. And I thought James Rodriguez was superb again. Alex Iwobi, who's just like a totally new player. Yeah, it was massive. As you said, we've been on a journey as Everton fans for years, and I can't remember the last time I was excited as this. You know, you look back to the Martinez season where we should really have got fourth, and this feels even more, you know, real and exciting than that. Quite a lot with, again, Ancelotti, Rodriguez, the players we've got. I was Leon Osman on Match of the Day saying about how we are in the title race, and people sort of laughing a little bit or whatever. You know, we actually, whether people like it or not, that's where Everton are at the moment. And I'm not saying that we're going to go all out and try and win the league, but wow. And so to be getting wins like that away against a good Wolves team, yeah, they're missing players, but we've just cracked on, haven't we? We've had so many really big injuries to key players, suspensions, etc. And we're still getting these wins. It's absolutely massive. And someone told me a stat earlier about, I think the amount of times it took Koeman, Allardyce, Silva, whoever else, to get 10 Everton away wins was like over 1,000, however many days. It took Ancelotti 300 and something, and over 100 of them, there was no football. You know, it's massive. It's a massive, massive thing. And yeah, absolutely delighted with it.
What did you make of it all, Mike, on Tuesday night?
I thought Sarah said something really interesting then about being excited. I've felt more excited about Everton than this before. Under Roberto Martinez, first season, I was more excited, but that was because of how improbable that situation came about and was just so out of the blue and unexpected, came from nowhere, and we knew it could evaporate at any instant. I've never felt this assured about an Everton team before, and in the knowledge that they are going in the right direction and they're in very, very safe hands. And you merge those things together, and it's so much more powerful than just being excited, because having that confidence, if I'm feeling like Everton can do that, then Jesus Christ, anyone can. Like, imagine how that translates to the players as well. The confidence that must be instilled within them. We've seen that just from the results of the away games in themselves. I know no fans being there makes a difference, but still such a massive thing to get those wins on the board. And the game in itself, it was interesting. I thought it was different than the wins that we've seen recently. In my opinion, we've seen backs against the wall wins quite a lot, where it's just been a case of really, by hook or by crook, grit your teeth and grind out the win, score goals when you can. And there's more of a plan here, an attacking plan, I thought, in play. Everton looked a lot more dangerous and created a lot more opportunities. And obviously, that's going to be the case when you have your two most creative players back in the lineup. And it's going to be mitigated somewhat by having no recognised striker on the pitch. But it was nice to see all the pieces start to come back together again, to be honest with you, because we haven't had them, that many on the pitch for quite a while. Hopefully, within the next few games, we'll have them all.
Yeah, and I think you said something there, Mike, and I'll come back to you in regards to the pieces being there. And I think when we were watching this team sort of gut it out in December, we all were very much of the opinion that while this is great and necessary, and it's got to be done given the injuries we've got, but this way of playing wasn't necessarily sustainable, and we couldn't keep going on like that, because you're playing fine margin football, and every now and then the fine margins go against you, and that's just the way it is. But it felt as well, and I agree with you in regards to this win being different, it felt as though that setup on Tuesday night, you could sort of see where you'd put your more glamorous pieces into that setup, and it could still work. So you could say you can take Gylfi Sigurdsson out and put Dominic Calvert-Lewin in. You could potentially, take one of the fullbacks out and put Digne back and put Richarlison in. Alan obviously goes straight back into that midfield, and you sort of look at those changes and you think, all right, if maybe you put Luca Digne to left back and Godfrey to right back, or you keep Holgate in there, whatever you do, you might lose a bit of defensive structure, but you're offsetting that with serious attacking talent in Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, and you've got a much better midfielder in there and Allen as well. And it felt like, sort of to go back to what you said at the start, it sort of feels like this is very much the start of something and the origins of something, as opposed to the peak of something.
Yeah, definitely. I think the lack of a full and proper pre-season and the lack of a proper break would have hampered loads of teams, and I think that's why we saw the swashbuckling Everton of the start of the season, when teams didn't really know how to play against the new players, and new players were starting to gel with each other, and it really clicked at such a good time for us. And then with the injuries and with differences in tactics, we've obviously seen a bit of a shift. And as you say, I think now that the pieces are coming back together, and with time on the training ground, we're seeing a team that's evolving to know what they are capable of. And I think that this period's been really important for them, because they've realised that they are capable of defending well. As bluntly and as simple as that sounds, that's not been a trait that we've associated with Everton for quite a while at this point. So being capable of defending well and knowing that, hang on, you've got a player there who can absolutely just put the ball on a sixpence and create a chance out of nothing. It was nice to see James Rodriguez be as influential as he was in the early parts of the season. I think the ball across to Digne to create the first goal for Iwobi, that's what we got used to seeing. And obviously, as he suffered a bit of injury and was in and out of the team and regaining fitness, that sort of died off a little bit. But it's just so nice to have that back, because it's just, as we saw, it's just a game changer.
Yeah, putting slide tackles in the second half as well, which is nice to see.
I don't think we'll see much more of them, to be honest with you.
But I suppose it goes to show that even he's buying into it a bit in that sense, albeit you don't want him doing that. But, Mike mentioned there, Sarah, about this team suddenly looking like it's not only learned how to defend well, but is enjoying defending. And the fella that sort of epitomises that at the moment is the fella who led the defence outstandingly on Tuesday and scored the winning goal on Tuesday as well, and that's Michael Keane. And it's amazing the transformation in this lad's game, isn't it? He's gone from being somebody you think a lot of us all had questions about, whether he had the mentality, whether he had the right physical attributes to be able to play for this football club. And I think we're sitting here now and we're talking about one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League.
Absolutely. And, I myself owe an apology to him in that sense, that I very much had my doubts. I always thought, what a really lovely young man who seems to want to do really well, and we all really wanted him to do well. But I was questioning whether or not the mentality was there in terms of being strong enough to handle the pressure and things like that. And he seemed to be so low and bereft of confidence. And I think what we've seen over the course of this season, and we've seen glimpses of it growing over time as well, is that he is just so confident and assured. He wins absolutely everything in the air, and he will carry the ball forward. So he's at the heart of a lot of Everton attacks these days. With the balls he can pick out, he's a really top class ball playing centre half, goal scoring centre half, wins everything at the back. He is brave, and I think he's playing now to all his attributes and stuff. We know that he's not the fastest in the world, but I think also having players like Holgate back around him, Ben Godfrey, Yerry Mina, who I think has improved as well. It's just been brilliant to see, because I think he is one of those players that all of us wanted to see do well, and he's becoming a real sort of cult hero, isn't he? And a real fan favourite, and somebody that you can rely on. And something that used to frustrate me about Keane as well, and Mina, to be honest, was you'd see that we were getting really nice deliveries into the box, and they would have opportunities time again from corners, from free kicks, from open play deliveries in, where they'd be getting these deliveries for them and heading them over the bar and not getting them on target. But that's another thing. He scored 3 Premier League goals already this season as well. And we're halfway through the season, and big important goals as well. That's got us an extra 2 points. And when you've even got your centre halves pinging in with the goals, keeping clean sheets, and then doing the business at the other end at key moments as well, it's fantastic. And I think he looks like he's somebody who's really enjoying his football now at Everton, really enjoying being a part of this. And I think Ancelotti's, absolutely delighted. As you said, he certainly is one of the best centre-backs in the league now. And if you'd have said that to me a couple of seasons ago, I'd have probably struggled to believe you. But Michael Keane, what a guy.
Yeah. You've always had a degree of faith in him, haven't you, Mike? I think whenever we've spoken about him in the past, and remember at the end of Marco Silva's first season, you were very high in your praise of him. But even between that and where he is now, it's, did even you envisage him getting to this level? Because it feels like he's well, I think it's probably fair to say that he's playing the best he's ever played for Everton over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say it's probably the best period of his footballing career in terms of leadership, in terms of comfort on the ball, and in terms of defending in general. If you add all three aspects together, it's probably the most he's shown. I think his time at Burnley, when he was at his best, he was a leader and he was comfortable tackling. He was not comfortable on the ball, was not comfortable with players trying to run in behind him. I think he's adapted through a very, very tough period of his career, and he's adapted very, very well. And as you say, I didn't foresee it getting to be this good. I thought he could become a 6 out of 10 standard competent defender who probably wouldn't be an Everton starting lineup going forwards. And as it stands, he's your first name on the defensive team sheet at the minute. And Yerry Mina next to him, the pair of them seems to have found a partnership there that works together that we probably didn't think that could work, but as we should say, probably won't work in some very specific matches. But for the majority of games, they don't really seem to be troubled in the way that they have been in the past. And maybe that's just a case of time and them getting to know each other's game better and better. Maybe it's a case of just having more security in defensive midfield again. It could be absolutely anything. But as a pair, they've done very, very well. But Keane on his own, he's one of Everton's most improved players alongside Alex Iwobi.
Yeah, I think there has to be things that they're comfortable with as well, aren't they? They're playing in a setup there where they can both. I think in general, when opposition gets the ball, we're happy to sit off, aren't we, and say, cross it into the box if you want, because we've got 4 centre backs on the pitch, 2 of which are absolute colossals in the middle, and we'll get in the way of things. And it just I was watching back some of the extended highlights from the game at the weekend, and I briefly mentioned this the day after, and I briefly mentioned this on the instant reaction. But I think he was so good in that spell after he scored in the last 15 minutes. Just they got the ball wide a lot and were putting crosses in, and it wasn't like you said, Sarah. I think early on he was winning a lot of headers and stuff like that. But these were low crosses into dangerous areas, and it was just positioning and getting in the right place, getting in front of his man and cutting it out. And I think he's somebody who, with that in mind, I think could be around for a while, because he's never going to be reliant on his pace. He never has been reliant on his pace, but he's somebody who seems to be learning more and more about the game, and his understanding of the game is growing and growing. So with that in mind, hopefully his shelf life is a long one at Everton in that regard. Sarah, you mentioned Alex Iwobi as well. Scored the other goal, but again, in general, his performance was excellent. And I think in these away games in particular, where we have been pinned back at times and we may not necessarily have a rapid outlet up top, he's been the one you've sort of said, well, if we give the ball to him, he can get up the line 20 yards, get us a free kick, hold off defenders. He's been very much our valve against pressure in some of these away games.
Oh, he's been superb, hasn't he? And again, like you said, and like Mike said, Alex Iwobi and Michael Keane, definitely the most improved Everton players. And the other thing that I'm really enjoying watching is it looks like James and Iwobi really enjoy playing alongside each other as well. I think with Iwobi, you've got someone who is just injects directness and pace into the team, and you've got James picking out these balls, pinging in these balls, and he'll know that Iwobi's just going to be running in onto them. And as you said, he's such an outlet if we're ever under a bit of pressure. You've got even centre halves can whack balls out wide to him. Pickford can, and he will just take it. He's not even the fastest player in the world. I think he's got bursts of acceleration, but he's just so clever and tricky to play against that, he really is a massive outlet and probably gives our defenders a lot of respite as well. But as I say, yeah, and early on in the games, I noticed as well, he's one of the first players that is up there trying to get a shot in on target. And that's what I like to see with Everton. Just be direct early on, let them know you're about. And he is such a direct player. He's that right wing back position that he'd been thrown into has been, we discovered his best position almost there. And I think it's just really lovely to see, because he's another one that had been kind of written off by fans. And we're all kind of going, fair play, lad. You've been absolutely superb. And somebody that I think can really offer something to this Everton side. And like I said, I'm really excited to see how this James and Iwobi kind of relationship develops, because Hammers seems to really enjoy playing alongside him. So goal as well. That first goal, by the way, I've watched it so many times. The whole build up to it, and then he said Hammers. First time crossing from Luca Dean, and then the first time finish from Iwobi. Brilliant. Absolutely made up for the lad.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, that Mike, actually, about Hammers and Iwobi, because I think it was quite noticeable how well they linked up together. But if you think about it, those lads probably haven't been on the pitch together much at all this season, because earlier in the season, Iwobi was on the bench, wasn't he? When Iwobi's come back into the side recently, Hammers has been out injured. So apart from maybe Southampton away, that might be the only game they've started together in Everton shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the start of the season, they were almost playing on different Everton teams, weren't they? You had Everton A and Everton B when they had the League Cup games. But I agree that they seem to play quite well together. Iwobi has done really well and made that right-hand side his own, in terms of an attacking sense and in terms of defensive sense, which I think has been really important for the balance of the side. And going forwards, it might just really free up James Rodriguez to play either as an advanced number 8 or number 10, however they want to play with the midfield, or just off the striker, however they'd like to do it. You think that there's an option there for him to have a proper free role in there if you have, say, Alan and Decore as your two midfielders, and then you've got Iwobi doing a lot of the dirty work on the right-hand side, also capable of supreme moments of skill and intelligence with the ball, making nice progressive passes. It's the one thing that I think is consistent with our two most improved players in Keane and Iwobi is it's nice to see them both passing the ball forwards in a really positive way. And it's in very different ways. You look at Michael Keane, he's almost that Toby Alderweireld light, where you just see them long arching balls that look like a hoof, but they really aren't. They're very well timed passes. And you've got Iwobi with just those really clever little intricate passes into either Seamus Coleman or Calvert-Lewin or someone else. And just they've both done so well to come back from what was a really difficult position from them. And all I'd like to see now is do it for the rest of the season. Instead of just us being sat here in 6 months saying, yeah, we had another purple patch from them, and then, and and yet again, do it for another season. Look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin and how the determination to be better and be consistently better has improved his overall standing within the game and his confidence. Just look at that as your example and emulate it. Go and be consistent at that highest level, especially Alex Iwobi. It's the one thing that's dogged him throughout his career is the level of consistency that he's shown. It was always a problem at Arsenal, and we know it was a bit of an issue here the first season. So go out and play with confidence. Play with the confidence that you are going to be consistently good, because when Alex Iwobi plays with confidence, that's when he's at his most dangerous. When he does something excellent with the ball in the first couple of minutes, first 5 minutes, like score an excellent goal, that is going to be an Alex Iwobi day. He takes on 3 players up the wing. It's going to be an Alex Iwobi day. Just those sorts of things, when you see it, And if that hasn't happened within 30, 40 minutes, usually it's going to be one of them days where he's a bit quieter. So that confidence doesn't need to come from an action that happens within the first few minutes. He's got to have that all the time and know that I'll just wait for the ball, and when it comes to me, then I'll do it. Not a case of, I haven't quite done it yet, and just fly out of the game just unnoticed. That's got to stay with him all the time. And that consistency, if he can show that over the course of this season, then it solves quite a few problems for Everton.
And I think that's where the shape and the mindset has really helped them recently. Because I think if you play him on that left-hand side and you're playing an attacking brand of football, there is that sort of license for him to go hunting for the ball and, come off the wing and go in field and try and get it. But I think when you're playing in a defensive-minded setup where, I imagine the manager will be saying to him, you need to cover your fullback just as much as help out going forward. You've got to stay in that shape and you've got to wait and you've got to be disciplined for your opportunity. So I think that's where that absolutely might have helped them. And just one other point on something you mentioned there, Mike, I think you mentioned the passion from both of them and how they like to play forward. I think it's really interesting watching the Rotherham game on Saturday, and you could hear the manager saying forward, quicker. And I think that's why when you look at Keane and Iwobi, and maybe there were times earlier in Ancelotti's tenure where you thought, why are these lads getting games? Maybe that's why he likes them. That's the thing he seems to say more than anything on the sideline. Play it forward, be more direct, get the ball through the lines a lot quicker.
Yeah, hopefully he's got to say it a lot less going forwards.
Absolutely. But yeah, it was wonderful stuff, wasn't it? At the weekend, it's on Tuesday night. Everton up to fifth in the table as it stands. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the chance to carry on that momentum because Everton's game at Villa was confirmed as being postponed on Thursday morning. I think we've all sort of known for a while. Obviously, it was meant to be played on Saturday. Initially, it got moved to Sunday, but Aston Villa won't be back in their training ground till Saturday at the earliest. And the decision's been made to call it off. Obviously, I asked people for their opinions on Twitter on this. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know what you think about it as well. But I'll get you guys to say what you think first. Sarah, what have you made of all this? Because I think it's one of them where I think some people sort of shrug their shoulders and go, well, it's part of the situation we're in and the landscape we're in at the moment. Whereas others sort of look at the FA Cup situation with Villa, the fact that it's our second game in as many weeks, which has been called off, and it's obviously very frustrating. How do you feel about what's transpired over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the mindset of obviously safety first, of course. Like, take the precautions that need to be taken, but it's as you said, the FA Cup game going ahead, and then being able to field a load of kids and stuff like that, and things still. So I don't understand why. It's the inconsistency of games being cancelled and games that are allowed to go ahead that really confuses me. You see it time and again where one club says they've got so many cases, they've had to do this, but their game's going ahead, and maybe another club's only got 2 cases, but their game's getting called off. And we've seen it across all kinds of leagues, and I find that very frustrating. And as you said, now that's 2 games for Everton that have had to be called off. So you can look at it and go, okay, maybe by the time that game is rescheduled as well, we'll have Calvert-Lewin back in, we should have Alan back in, and bolster our options and stuff like that. But I don't like having too many games in hand. I think you can get almost like lapse with them and think, oh yeah, but we've got that game in hand and we've got that game. I think the momentum Everton are in right now. I'd have very much. I'm looking forward to Everton playing every game. I love it now when Everton are playing, because I'm thinking another win and we're still right up there. But yeah, as I said, disappointed because I want the game to go ahead. I want to see Everton play. Frustrated and a bit confused in regards to the situation and how they're deciding what games are played and what games aren't. I'd say that's probably the main issue for me.
I think that's where I am with it as well, Mike. Really, it's the not really knowing what has to happen for a football match to be called up at the moment in the Premier League. Seems to not making it up as they go along necessarily, but maybe making different rules for different sides depending on the let's say significance of them in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'd say so. It seems to be the case that the hardline stance that was put forward at the start of the season of you got 14 players, played a game, seems to have been just binned with no real discussion about it. As soon as probably the City infections happened, that seemed to be the real turning point. I think Everton have got every right to be a bit miffed, to be honest, because they've followed the rules completely. Obviously, the players seem to be complying, and if they're not, then they haven't caught it anyway. And to have 2 games postponed and pushed back. So if these games are played in February, I'm reliably informed that theoretically Everton could have 8 games in a 26-day period, which would just be a bit ridiculous. And obviously that depends on when City are going to be free on European days. Villa have already got loads of games they've got to play as well, and all these things interlink. So it's not as simple as just going, oh, okay, we'll just find a time slot for it, because I think Manchester City don't actually have a time slot left, do they? I think it was just something ridiculous.
Progression in all the competitions. Yeah, it was 1 free midweek between now and the end of the season.
Yeah,
give us the points. Give us the points.
It's just it's really caused a lot of problems. I think we've seen in the NFL this year very similar things where you've got some teams who've been cut a lot of slack, teams at the very top, and then teams who don't really have very much to play for have been made to play games when they haven't even got a quarterback available. Like, we've seen very ridiculous things. So it's not just in football that this is an issue. I think, as you said before, it's something that's an ongoing process that just has to be dealt with. I don't think Everton have really got anyone to be annoyed at, but I do think they've got every right to be a bit miffed just at the general situation, because it's frustrating having to change all your preparation, change all your planning, know that sometime down the road you've probably got to prep your medical department very differently to the way it was going to be prepped to keep the players in peak physical shape, which would have been planned months and months in advance with all these games. But it's par for the course. There's no one you can really be that annoyed at, but you can just be annoyed at the situation.
Maybe UEFA for having the Euros set in stone, because that's what feels like it's the big issue of all this, that you've got to cram everything in. And maybe the Premier League as well for not making contingency plans in regards to that. But it feels as though everything's just going to have to be pushed in at the end of the season, effectively, because we've got the European Championships that absolutely have to happen on that date.
Yeah. Do you think they will? Do you think it'll happen?
No.
I don't think they will either.
No, I don't. But all this, all this palaver.
I know, and obviously, Sarah, as well, in the women's game, it's not been as widely reported, but it's been a lot more widespread, hasn't it? Matches being cancelled, very late notice for some of the girls. I imagine it's really frustrating for them. I mean, having spoken to the girls and known them so well, how have they found it all?
Yeah, they're frustrated, wanting to play games. Obviously, we had to call off the game last weekend against Manchester United. We'd had cases at the club, but I think that the girls were all recovering fine. It was like a precaution thing. But I think the thing that's really frustrating in the women's game is you'd had players from various other clubs all going out to Dubai for little holidays and stuff, and loads of cases then came back. It made me laugh because Reading women and Chelsea was the only game that went ahead on the weekend from the WSL because of COVID cases, and they put a tweet out saying like just the two of us or whatever, and that was the only game that was going on. And I think obviously over Christmas and things like that, cases have picked up, but I think it's really, really frustrating when you've got people going away on holiday and when we're kind of flouting the rules a little bit, when we're all in a situation that's kind of crap right now, when we're all really feeling it. And you had other players who couldn't go home to see their family, had to be totally isolated over Christmas. Probably all they were focused on is getting back and playing football. They've not been able to do that because all these cases have come back, and then they can't play the football, and they've been so it's very, very frustrating. My fear for now really is I fear for the season, the women's season. I mean, I hope that gets is enabled to carry on and stuff, but again, there's so many games being called off. Everton have already got a few to catch up on, so again, it's like, where are all these fixtures going to take place because of other teams missing stuff? But we have got to.
Is there a major tournament in the summer, Sarah, for the girls, or
what's that? Sorry.
The major tournament in the summer, international for the girls?
Not this summer. It will be pushed back to the next one. Oh no, 2021. No, it is this. I think that one is still this season as well. I know we've got the Olympics and the Euros as well. So yeah, there's so much going on right now, and you're thinking, where are the games going to be played? Where are they going to be fit in? And I think COVID, you think how hard it's hit the Premier League and the standards and precautions that are there. So I think in the women's game, it's just been awful. And we've seen the same thing. The bigger teams, if you like, the bigger clubs being granted permission to change things, etc. Whereas other clubs have been told they have to go ahead, and they've had like 13 players available or something. So very, very strange times. But I think we're all just feeling our way through it, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Really frustrating. I think with the totally forgot about the Olympics, because of course, while in the when it comes to the men's game, it's sort of been a shrug of the shoulders when it comes to footy for the girls. Isn't it? It's the pinnacle, isn't it, when it comes to international football? So that is something that every country qualifiers will be taking seriously. So yeah, fingers crossed we can get it all sorted soon.
And a big game as well for the girls on Sunday. They are back at Walton Hall Park, so that'll be on the FA Player for those who want to watch. Obviously, there's no Everton men's game now, so that's a 1:00 kickoff live on the FA Player if you want to tune in and watch our girls on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's got 2 hours free now on Sunday, haven't they? So we should have watch that. Get behind them. Just one other thing I wanted to speak about quickly before we wrap up today. Footballers getting grief again from the government in regards to COVID. Obviously, there's been direction that footballers shouldn't celebrate and hug each other in that regard. And there's been pictures of all the players celebrating from different teams on the back of newspapers and on the news and all that kind of thing. There's been MPs today saying that it's brainless for footballers to be doing this kind of thing. Mike, as much as we can sit here and say that maybe footballers shouldn't just do that, it is frustrating to sort of see the wheel spun in regards to who are we going to have a go at this time in regards to the pandemic, and it landing on a lot of these lads again.
Well, it's been 6 months since they last decided it was footballers that were the problem. So that's probably enough time. People have forgotten how ridiculous it was then. And then, yeah, so we've been through everyone else. And it was teenagers, and it was old people, and it was working people, and it was unemployed people, and it was the dogs, and it was the cats. And it was,
It actually was.
Honestly, then it was old Mother Hubbard who lives down the road in a shoe. Whoever it is, it's not the government. It's not their fault. And I think we all know it is. So, yeah. For me, they use the word disgraceful. I think it's absolutely disgraceful, the amount of money that has been spent on private test and trace that is absolutely faulty. I think it's disgraceful, the lack of Wi-Fi that is available for working class children who have to work remotely for their education. I think those things are disgraceful. I can't say footballers patting each other on the back after scoring a goal when they've been doing 2 to 3 COVID tests a week and living in quite secure environments is very disgraceful for me. Not falling for it. I don't think anyone really should. There's only one group of people that people should be pointing the finger at now, and that's the government. And unfortunately, the Labour leader's not going to do it, so everyone else has to.
What have you made of it, Sarah? Because I suppose it's easy to sit here and say that, you've got to be in that situation, having been able to celebrate with your mates when you score a goal for so long during all this pandemic. It's probably quite hard to just flick that switch, isn't it, for football players to say all of a sudden that, we're going to stand 2 meters apart from each other, despite the fact that, we'll line up in a wall together or we'll get in a penalty box in a bit of a cluster and defend set pieces together. It's a bit of mixed messaging going on there, isn't it?
It's stupid. It's stupid. I mean, like you said, the natural thing, that's a group of lads there who've just scored what they thought would be, it went on to be the winning goal. They're challenging for Champions League. Even when you play bloody FIFA, when you score, you're like, get in. It's such a natural thing, and these are lads playing in a really exciting season. They know how much the buzz of the fans and how much excitement and hope there is from all of us with this team at the moment. We're all really on like this really exciting journey together, and football, let's be honest, is a bright spark for so many of us in a time that is so hard and so confusing, and so we all feel, I don't trust the government. I don't feel looked after or safe or anything like that, and to echo what Mike said, I think the only thing that is disgraceful, it's, seeing these food parcels or whatever that was meant to feed a family on Twitter the other day. You want to talk about things that are disgusting. And I think that it's the government that need to have a look at themselves. I'm not having that footballers scoring a goal and jumping. I mean, if you can't take some joy in seeing Yerry Mina celebrate that goal against Wolves, then, you're not going to take much joy in anything at the moment. I think it's a natural response. I think, as you said, these are lads that are sliding into tackles with each other. They're all spitting on the grass throughout the game. They're in the changes together. They'll be in the showers after. They're having COVID tests constantly. You also, I love how Manchester United did the exact same thing again, but that it was all on Everton, wasn't it? So, pay no attention to them. I have no problem with it. I think, if we're getting to the point, it's hard enough as it is at the moment. And as you said, of all the places to point fingers, I think, and as Mike put it, a few men patting each other on the back after scoring a goal. I don't think that's where we need to be angry.
I mean,
I think.
Sorry, Mike, go on.
I think if you look at the images that were being used in the case of Everton, I did see stuff to do with United, and I can't remember, there was another game as well, but so I did see those ones surfacing as well. But the ones to do with Everton, it was after Michael Keane's goal, and obviously Yerry Mina is all over the back of him. And you do just think to yourself, that's taken 10 seconds after probably about 20 fellas have all been stood within 6-7 yards of each other, pushing each other about. I mean, like, if you're arguing that the celebration is bad, and then you're making the wrong argument. If you want to argue that football shouldn't be going ahead
100%.
because of the amount of expense that's on it, and it's not necessary, and for the safety of those players, etc., that's a different and fine argument to have. But to use this as, let's be honest, a deflecting tactic for the inefficiencies of an absolutely woeful response by this government, that is underhanded and a bit vile.
There might be people listening to this who just say, just don't do it. Is that what do you think about that? Because I suppose it's one of those things. I imagine that it is instantaneous, but if now it's in the news and being spoken about a lot, that people, when they score goals, will think about it. Isn't now? I mean, will that make it easier, or should it not even matter?
I just don't think it matters. I can't see it mattering. If you're going to say, well, just don't do it, don't celebrate, fine, don't tackle, don't make any contact with anyone whatsoever. It's pointless. Don't shake hands, don't do any of this, don't pat each other. Do you know what? Don't be within 2 meters of one another, none of you. You can all stand still, we'll play Subbuteo for a bit. That's what we'll do instead. It gets to that absolutely and utterly ridiculous stage. And I don't blame the players one bit, because it is farcical, it is ridiculous. And even if it gets to the stage where just do it, and some of them still don't do it, I'm sorry, but when you score a goal, we've all done it. Doesn't matter what level it is. If you're in a park with your mates, it's a brilliant feeling. You score a decent goal, it's great. You completely forget every single problem that's going on in your life, and you go mad for about 5 seconds. And imagine that feeling times about 10,000, scoring at the very highest level. You're not going to remember. So, I can't go over here and celebrate. Best 2 meters, everyone, 2 meters, even though we've just had a big party on at the corner and a goal mouth scramble. 2 meters now, okay? It's not going to happen. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not as if I totally agree with what you're saying. Just trying to be the devil's advocate, but it's just like it's one of them, isn't it? Where it's not as if they're acting irresponsibly, and it's not as if they haven't been tested before these games. They are in secure conditions. They are getting tested regularly. But yeah, just one of those things, isn't it? Very disappointing in that regard. But yeah, we are out of time today. We'll leave it there. Thanks very much to Mike and to Sarah. As Sarah said, watch the girls on Sunday. Give them the backing, give them support. Obviously, with the lads not playing, 10 days off now. I'm reliably informed they're all getting a few days off. The lads ahead of a busy potential month, so won't see any training ground pictures from Finch Farm or anything like that. But yeah, thanks very much to the guys. Thanks very much for watching on YouTube. Give this video a like if you haven't already. Subscribe to us if you haven't already. And if you listen to this on podcasts, give us a rating, give us a review. All these things are important.